live radio, local podcasts, the Frederick Podcast Network at listenfrederick.com.
He's annoying.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's time to experience the O on the Original Sports Podcast.
Hey, welcome everyone to another exciting episode of the Original Sports Podcast with yours truly, Mark the Barber Maradei, Rashene the Dream, and T Sizz. We don't know if our boy Chops is going to be here. Chops went camping this weekend. We don't know if he's going to make it or not. If he pops up.
Did he go camping or glamping?
Yeah, I think he's glamping.
Yeah, he probably went
Sizzle,
glamping.
explain glamping again real fast.
Glamping, you just pull the car up, you get out and set up right there. Camping, you put that shit on your back and you go in the woods somewhere and take your life in your own hands.
You think you might see Bigfoot if you roll up in the woods, though? Seriously.
Bigfoot day.
It don't matter. You know this about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Bigfoot saw Chuck Norris. He ran away.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell
Sizz
yeah.
told me this morning. I was telling Sizz this weekend, I think I put on like 15 pounds between having some beverages and eating. Sizz said, I got on the scale this morning and it started laughing at me.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one exercising?
Yeah.
No, I exercise.
Okay.
I think it's the alcohol, though. I think it's the alcohol playing a toll. I told my wife, got to cut back for a few weeks. Can't be having anything.
Weeks. Just have one beer. You don't got to drink 6.
Oh, I don't drink beers.
Okay.
It's those shots by my buddy Joe the Elf. He makes moonshine. He mixes up all these crazy drinks. It's nuts.
Okay.
I told him, Joe, I can't do this anymore. I can't.
I got on the scale this morning. It said, you might want to take your clothes off for more accurate reading.
You weren't in the mirror, were you? That's ugly naked.
Oh, boy.
That's bad naked.
That's, they call that the truth. They call that the truth.
The truth. The truth.
They said, if you really want to be unhappy with yourself, start jumping up and down.
Oh.
All right.
Hey, listen,
Clap.
before I get into the monologue for today's show, I want to pay my respects to Bill Walton. Bill Walton was kind of a unique guy. He was 86-4 while he was at UCLA. In one of the championship games, he was 21 of 22 from the floor. That's pretty freaking amazingly, to me at least. Most notably, he was one of the most passionate Grateful Dead people you'd ever meet. I did not realize that he was only 71 years old.
I didn't either.
Yes. He never averaged over 20 points.
In the NBA.
I'm looking at these stats and I'm like, interesting. I would like to know where they put him in the scheme of big men. What number?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Although he also averaged, like 15 rebounds with those 18 points. So he was doing his job.
Would he win 2 championships with the Celtics?
I think
one with Portland. He beat the Lakers, I believe, with Portland. This must have been a year. This must have been 77, 78. He averaged 19 and 13 and 5 assists. Jeez,
Portland's in the West.
That's pretty good back then.
I'm sorry. Well, okay.
Relatively speaking.
The championship. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Relatively speaking, that's pretty good from back then. But no, you just need to tip your hat to the guy. They said nobody even really knew he had cancer. Like he didn't really put it out there. And I kept wondering, why isn't he on any of these basketball games?
Yeah.
But he's probably going to be glad he's gone now. God rest his soul, because, the Pac-12 is about done, the Pac-12.
Is he one of those guys where you think, he was a contributor. He played some big time games in college and in the pros. He got his rings. He's got recognition, notoriety, stand-up guy, never did, in the media and all that. It's just like you didn't really know, like you say, how passionate he was about the dead, how passionate he was about sports, but you didn't really know until he's gone. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. He got a law degree from Stanford, by the way.
Oh, really? Hey, what's going on, our guy Daniel? Hey, look at it, man. Daniel Barry's here again. Got to appreciate Daniel being every Tuesday, man. We love you for it. Thanks for joining us. Hope you like today's show. Hey, all great baseball teams have amazing minor league systems where development and preparation for the show are the focus, guys. The OSP is really thrilled to have Indianapolis Indians broadcaster Jack McMullen joining us on this episode today. The Indians, the Indians are the AAA affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're going to talk with Jack about, who's the next big thing maybe coming up from the Indians. We're going to talk about, who could be the next guy to join the varsity roster and make an impact. Is Jack Sawinski and Henry Davis ever going to make it back up and be productive? Is there a legit first baseman in Indianapolis? And, what can we look forward to as time goes on if you're a Pittsburgh Pirate fan? So, hey, if you're listening, crack open a cold one. Start shelling some peanuts. It's time to play ball.
Play ball.
Don't forget your nachos.
Yeah. Hey, could someone tell me why Major League Baseball had 0 games on Memorial Day?
Well,
the restaurants weren't.
Go, Sheen.
The restaurants weren't open either, so I don't know. I was trying to get something to eat and nothing was open. So, but yeah,
McDonald's was.
I don't want to. Come on, man. Go ahead, Tara.
I just think fan base is pretty meh, but on Memorial Day they're not going to get much.
All fan bases aren't meh.
People are going to be out and about doing their own thing. They're not going to have a lot of spectators.
No.
When you say that, you mean Monday? Is that what you meant? Yesterday?
Yeah, there were a few games, but like there were 26 other teams or some crazy number of teams that didn't play. The Pirates are one of those teams. Why are you not playing on a national holiday? I don't understand it.
Meh, maybe they ain't want to. At least in Pittsburgh, they probably figure ain't nobody going to be showing up that too many people. So
Memorial Day is the most traveled holiday in the U.S. So a lot of people are, like I said, they're
a lot of bikers.
They're not around.
You mean motorbike bull like that?
A lot of bikers were out on my way back from Cooperstown.
What do they call that? Blaze of Glory or
Rolling Thunder?
Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Rolling Thunder. That's what Richard used to roll. That big. He called that Rolling Thunder.
Hey, PGA golfer Grayson Murray, 30 years old, died over the weekend. He committed suicide. A lot of alcohol, mental health issues. He was only 30 years old, guys. Any thoughts on that? How a 30-year-old successful young guy like that couldn't get help to get himself right? Or maybe he tried to get some help and he just couldn't accomplish it?
If he had mental health issues, I'm wondering if he was on meds. Meds and alcohol don't do well. Right. I don't know, man. Yeah.
I don't know. That didn't help the cause.
Yeah. I guess, then maybe he was hard on himself for not always win. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into that, man. Yeah, you're right. Because from what I heard, he was pretty good.
Hey,
and then to, maybe be down on him. I don't know. But the mental issues and the alcohol, that's never a good mixture.
My favorite clip was when he broke his club and threw it in the lake. I'm like, man, this guy's just like me.
Yeah, his parents. I thought about it. He's 30 years old. I could have been his dad easily. So I can only imagine what they're going through emotionally, what a hit it takes to the sport. We'll see how the sport plays itself out. Maybe they'll become more astute to guys using alcohol heavily. Maybe they'll become more astute to guys who have mental health issues and might need support. When I start thinking about guys who have mental health issues and needed support, I think of Stephon Tuitt. He made so much money. He walked away from professional football with a couple years left on a contract.
The problem with that is, you got to figure in football with a lot of the banging. There's probably a lot of people who have these issues. So I don't. You start helping everybody. I mean, they should be, but you start helping everybody, then you might not have too many people on Sunday. Because
you got to have some kind of program in place, though. I think you need to have some kind of program in place for these guys to be able to turn to and get the support they need. Hey, Celtics just swept the Pacers. Is this the time they get over the hump finally and grab that chip, or is Dallas going to have, or Minnesota going to have something to say about this? Do you think Dallas can get beyond Minnesota?
It's going to be Dallas because they're up 3-0. It's going to be Dallas. I can't see the Celtics beating Dallas.
Really?
Celtics have a strong 2, but their strong 2 usually one's off on one of these games. It's a weird dynamic. Like they say the Batman and Robin thing. Well, Batman's going to get you 30. Robin should get you 20. Well, some nights their Batman will get 30 and their Robin gets 10. It's just a weird. Whereas Luka and Kyrie are getting 30 apiece a night.
Mm-hmm.
Apiece.
Yeah,
well, 60 points in 2 people.
Boston took both games this year.
Okay, it's gonna be interesting.
It's a little different though.
It is. Yeah, it's regular season, as my man Drew Shafino would say. Regular season and playoff NBA, 2 different things.
Yeah, playoffs.
Yeah,
I know Garshevino.
I can see if Luka's healthy though, because there's a little question mark over his head. I could see them definitely giving a push right there and getting by the Celtics. All they got to do is split up in Boston, and I think they can sweep in Dallas. You know, who gets home court advantage if it's those 2 teams?
I think Boston does. They're number 1, aren't they?
Oh yeah. As far as seeding goes, I think they were 1. I think Dallas was 4, if I'm not mistaken, or 2. They weren't 1. They weren't 1. So yeah, that might be it.
Wonder why Cuban decided to sell this team now that he has finally put together the pieces of a puzzle that are productive for him after years of being in the abyss.
Shark Tank. He's on Shark Tank. He ain't got time to be running no basketball team. Do you remember how much money he got for selling it? And he gets to make some executive decisions and basically run it with not having the aggravation of all the bills.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, hats off to him. Have you guys been paying any attention to the NHL? I think the NHL wants to see McDavid and the Oilers versus the New York Rangers. I really do. Yeah. I could see that happening. They want to get McDavid on the big stage finally because he's supposed to be the marquee player in the NHL. But to me, I don't know about that. Hey, what's going on, Smitty? Good to hear from you, my guy.
What up, Schmitz?
Schmitz
we're talking a little hockey right up your alley, buddy.
Well, I agree. They've been wanting to see McDavid. Rangers.
What about Draisaitl? Y'all living out Draisaitl?
I love Draisaitl.
They're not in the clear. Rangers aren't in the clear yet. They're only up 2-1.
Edmonton's not up already. Edmonton's down 2-1, right?
Yeah. So
I
will tell you this: Florida outplayed the Rangers. I watched that game. Florida outplayed the Rangers. Florida has more tenacity to the puck. They hit. They're very impressive, and I always thought they were. Tkachuk has brought such a dynamic there to that team that it's unreal. And then you got a guy like Alexander Barkov who can score at will pretty much, and he's hidden because he's in Florida because of Tampa. And what's his name down in Tampa? The $18 million man.
Did you see Barkov on that overtime breakaway get shut down?
No, I didn't see that.
They were down 2 or 3 goals. They came back.
They came roaring back. They were down 2-0.
And then end up going overtime and lost it.
Well, it's just like Dallas last night. I mean, Edmonton was up 2-0 going into the third. I was watching some of that, and all of a sudden, Jason Christensen just lit it up.
How about if the Stars and the Mavs both win? What's that do for Texas?
Well, we know what Stars not going to win.
That's what I was about to say. Does that put more pressure on them?
I don't know.
They've got a football town.
Hey, listen, they've got enough issues as it is. They've got to figure out how to sign Prescott. They're going to have to sign CeeDee Lamb. They're going to have to sign Parsons. I mean, they're
What's his name's coming back, so they'll be all right. Just keep feeding him the ball.
Who?
Freaky Zeke.
Oh, Emmett Smith. Or Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
You might as well have Emmett Smith back.
Yeah, he ran.
Yeah,
good,
Smitty. I agree with you. Dallas is going to win that series. I think the Oilers have got to make a splash on defense. And I had a conversation with the guy recently via social media, and it was a good conversation, but he thought that they were pretty well set on defense with the guys they had, Darnell Nurse, and I forget who the other guy was we were talking about. And I said, I would love to see Pittsburgh trade Erik Karlsson and get Draisaitl. They don't need Karlsson. They don't need him in Pittsburgh.
You think they're going to give up Draisaitl for him?
They're gonna have to do something. You keep sitting on that 1 and 2 for this will be what, year 8, right? I think this is the 8th year.
Are you saying they're sucking up too much of the money?
Yeah. I mean, McJesus, he makes the most money in the league. He makes the most money in the league, but deservedly so. He wins the scoring title and stuff. But you never saw Crosby asking for the most money in the league. Now, after all these years, Crosby has earned over $154 million, but still, at the end of the day, he doesn't ask for a salary of 16, 18 million. He's very well content at 8.7. So
he's contented.
Yeah. Hey, our guy should be joining us real shortly. Let me give you his bio here, fellas. He was a sports broadcaster from the Indianapolis Indians, Pittsburgh's AAA affiliate, like I said. He's a 2020 graduate of Syracuse University. He went to the Newhouse School of Public Communications. In Syracuse, he filled a variety of broadcast roles, most notably the sports director at WAER-FM. And Jack also has his own podcast. It's called Just Baseball Media. So I'm looking forward to talking to Jack, talking about, like I said, the Indianapolis Indians. I like minor league baseball, fellas. I almost like it a lot better than I like Major League Baseball, and I'm a baseball fan at heart, no question about it. But I just think those guys play a different way when they play in the minors. They're playing to get to the show, so they're willing to do things a lot of guys who get paid and go to the show don't do anymore. A lot of those, in my opinion, a lot of those guys just don't care. Now I'm getting paid. I don't care.
I.e. Rendon. But not only that, from a fan's perspective, the venue is amazing. You have to pay attention. You're going to get a square one right in the eye,
Not anymore. They got big nets up. Here's Big Jack. Let's talk to Jack Mack.
Hi, Jack.
What's up, fellas?
Jack Mack, what's going on? How are you?
How we doing, guys?
Good, good. Right. We were just talking about your success up there at Syracuse. Wasn't it too cold for baseball, my friend?
Too cold for baseball. It was a lacrosse school, no Division I baseball at Syracuse. So I had to learn how to call lacrosse. And I was like, what am I doing here? I played club baseball at Syracuse, which was like fun. It was, relaxed environment, but yeah, man, like I had to get away from campus to call baseball. So it was a lax school, fell a little bit short in the NCAA tournament. I never once thought I would get into lacrosse, but here we are.
With Jim Brown's stick still hanging up there in his Hall of Fame.
I know, right? Jim Brown, Gary Gate, a big name in the lax world. How about the Powells? You know any of those? I didn't know him until I got to campus, but Jim Brown was the guy that I knew, and his lacrosse stick and his football helmet are still there on campus.
Nice. Well, Jack, here's a little piece of knowledge for you. On Friday, we did a podcast with Michael Rabel, the CEO of the PLL.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually coached Michael and his brother, Paul. I didn't know a damn thing about lacrosse. I moved here from Western Pennsylvania. I coached football at the high school, and they said, hey, we need somebody to come in here and just help out with lacrosse. And I was like, I don't know much about it. And they're like, they'll teach you. That was it. They wanted me to come in and be the guy who just showed some emotion.
Just hit somebody and sling it as hard as you can. I think
that's all it was. That's all it was.
Easy.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get into this, Jack. If you don't mind, give us a little background about your broadcasting and how you've been, how you got into it with the Indians.
Yeah, so I've done a little bit of everything. So I went to Syracuse and I was like, I want to do talk radio because my uncle does afternoon drive in Chicago. And I was like, okay, I'm not even a hockey guy, but I saw him on the ice after the Blackhawks kept winning all those Stanley Cups. And I was like, this seems like the best job in the world. And then I go to Syracuse, I'm doing the talk thing. And then going into my sophomore year at Syracuse, I interned with WGN, which obviously nationally distributed Harry Carey and all that stuff. And it was one of the last years that WGN had the rights to the Cubs and White Sox. And I was a production intern. So like 4 or 5 days a week, I was sitting in the back of the TV booth watching Len Casper call games for the Cubs and watching Jason Benetti call games for the White Sox. I was like, I'd be so silly to not try and make a TV booth at a ballpark my office. Yeah. So I got into that, and I was out on Cape Cod doing that college summer league in 2018. 2019, I was short season affiliate of the Nats, which is in Auburn, New York, was in Auburn, New York. I think they're a college summer league team now. And then 2020, I was supposed to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana to be with the Padres High A, but 2020 wiped out all minor league baseball. So I was just kind of hanging out. I was driving for DoorDash for a minute, and then 21 went back to Fort Wayne, and 22 the Indy opportunity came about. So I've been there since 22. But dude, I've done gymnastics, softball, tennis. I did arena soccer in Utica, New York for a year. Anything that I've probably done in some form or fashion at some point, just because I'm trying to get good at it when I was 20 and still 26.
Yeah. So you're from upstate?
No, I'm from the Chicagoland area. I went to Syracuse. I just Googled where did Bob Costas go to college, and it said Syracuse. So I was like, you know what? Should probably do that.
Thank God it wasn't Andrew Filipponi you were Googling.
Damn right.
Filipponi?
So I work with a couple guys over at the Fan. I'll do like minor league reports and all that, but he's a lightning rod for sure.
Woo! His boy is worse though, 100% worse. Muller, all Cleveland all the time.
I hear you.
Hey Jack, can you talk about the season thus far? Maybe some highs, some lows, some good, some bad.
Yeah, man, it's been good. The first 6 weeks of the Skeens show was really cool, and that guy is one of a kind, to say the least. I tell this story a little bit, but classic example of what that guy does. Tuesday morning, you got a 6:30, 7 o'clock game at home on a Tuesday evening. I'll just walk down, the tunnel towards the clubhouse, and I'll just see Skeens there with like a backpack and a water jug attached to the backpack. And he's working on feeling the weight through his torso. This guy is getting work in at all hours of the day. And every piece of his day, every moment of his day is spent trying to get better. So watching that for 6 weeks and then actually seeing the results on the hill were really cool. And yeah, man, it's been good. I think we've got the best ballpark in minor league baseball in Indy. I know Charlotte is up there. I know Durham is up there, and Nashville's got a great one too, Vegas, but tons of bias. I think Indy's the best ballpark in minor league baseball. And it's a really fun time to be coming out to the ballpark in Indy, whether you're seeing Skeens or now, Henry Davis, Sawinski's back too. They're ball players to come see.
I got was just hiking. He had a backpack with a jug of water. So if you see him trouncing through Indiana, don't think it's Skeens. It might be our boy Chops.
100%.
Jesus. Hey, you said he works all the time. I mean, he goes home and gets some work in with Olivia, right?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
She's a golden one, let me say. How about the pitchers? What are we looking at down there? How about the starters? Is Burrows back yet, or is he still long term?
No, Burrows is on the shelf. He's working his way back. Last check, I saw he was throwing some live batting practice down at the complex. So it should just be a matter of time for him, but I'm really excited to see him again. That changeup was really far along, and he felt close when unfortunately he went down at the beginning of last year. But I think that guy is the forgotten man in the stable of pitching prospects for them right now. You think about Jones and Skeens, and obviously you think about Quinn, who's kind of bouncing up and down right now. But in AA, you've got Solomito, Bubba Chandler, Ashcraft, all the Harrington, all these guys. You forget about Burrows because we're about a year and a half removed from that. But I think Burrows is a great one. So no Burrows yet, but we've seen Quinn. Quinn just went 7 innings of 1-hit ball on Sunday. And man, like Jones last year, Skeens this year, we're kind of spoiled on the starting pitching front.
Do you think it's a mental thing with Quinn, though? Because Quinn always has a bad first inning or second inning, then he's smooth the rest of the way.
It's a good question. I don't think so. What I think it is he's tinkered with his fastball a bit over the last few years. When he was coming up, he was a 4-seam guy. And, like that's tough in Greensboro. Greensboro is one of the more hitter-friendly ballparks we've got in minor league baseball that isn't, like playing in zero gravity in North Texas or Nevada or anywhere like that. But I do think that he's just kind of, finishing the process of going from that 4-seam guy to that sinker guy. And, there are points like, hey, if you were a 4-seamer guy until you were 21, 22 years old, and now you're trying to find that sinker because you feel like it plays better, like sinkers flatten out at points and, it catches too much of the zone. It can be hit hard. And I think that was what he was running into at the big league level. But if he's on with that sinker, I think that guy can put it in cruise control in the first inning and keep moving.
I'd like to see him come up and be the number 4. Yep. And then get Burrows back and be your number 5. I mean, sure. However you want to juggle those last 2, but I mean, the top of the Pirates rotation is just phenomenal.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's set for quite a while here. I mean, you got Keller on that team friendly deal. I know it's a lot of money, but like, dude, this era of baseball, that's a very team friendly contract for a guy 100%. That can give you 200 innings. And Skeens and Jones are looking like 9-figure pitchers at some point down the line.
Oh, gosh,
they won't be in Pittsburgh then.
You don't say that. Yeah,
they're gone.
I'm not getting a jersey. That's it. Get me a Clemente.
You never go wrong with a Clemente jersey.
Any relief pitching we could see coming up to the bigs, because I'll tell you what, they need relief pitching. Chapman has been beyond a disappointment.
Yeah.
Holderman and Bednar has come around now, but those are really the only 2 guys. I mean, Macias, they had lost him. Is it Macias?
Moretta.
That's it. Moretta. Yep.
Yeah. It's unique because like I always kind of view bullpens as a turnstile a bit. Like you can be really good for a year, and then you have 5 bad outings the following year and your value is zapped entirely. So I feel like that is kind of the easiest one to plug and play guys in. And, I think we're kind of experiencing the turnstile. Like we had Carmen Majinski for, about a month or so to open the year. We had Kyle Nicholas for a month or so to open the year. And, we've got a guy like Ryder Ryan now who, keeps on shuttling back and forth. I think he's already been optioned 3 times, and Jose Hernandez is getting close to that too. So I really do think that Indy is just kind of functioning as bullpen depth for them right now. And, like we've got Ryan on the roster right now and some other guys like that. So I really do think it's a matter of, like who are the 7 guys in that pen that we're going to roll with right now. And then you've got 3 more, almost excess in Indy and you're just waiting on that next call.
Interesting. Yeah.
Hey,
I like Majinski.
Yeah.
I do.
Hey, how has Henry Davis been since his arrival? I know defense isn't his issue, more of his bat. And is he getting any time at first base?
So no time at first. Good question. I know first is kind of the hot button topic in Pittsburgh right now, but no
Rowdy's
time.
Rowdy.
I know that no time at first base. He was playing a lot of right last year, but now Henry is really just catching and DHing. I haven't seen him take any reps at first base. He's hitting the crap out of the ball right now. It's really impressive to see. It was a couple games. I want to say like a 4 or 5 game stretch where he was swinging and missing at the upstairs fastball, and he was getting under some pitches, and you got a lot of infield pop-ups and foul ground, that kind of thing. But now he's really straightened it out, and he's starting to tear the cover off of it. And you'll see, the 105 to 108 mile an hour line drives, and it's resulting in homers. It's resulting in doubles. And, the OPS right now is well over 1,000 over his last dozen games. He's one of the better hitters in minor league baseball over the last dozen or so games. And Indy's got a couple of them. Something that has not been sparse in Indianapolis this year is guys that are tearing the cover off the ball for extended stretches. I mean, we we had G1 Bay and Nick Gonzalez doing it before they got the call again. And both those guys have looked really solid in the big leagues. I know shorter sample for Bay, but Nick has been, hitting it so well up there. And Jake Lamb's been doing it all year. And then you got Henry doing it right now and Matt Gorski doing it right now too.
How about Leovar?
What you're saying is the Pirates should have a 4A team because they're doing well at 3, but they're not doing well in the majors. So they should have a 4A team.
I think they're kind of functioning as a next man up situation right now, which is great because I think all these guys understand that they can be called on as soon as you need them because the offense is performing so well here. They've got the best team batting at they're hitting 277 as a team, which is the best clip in the International League. I think in all of AAA baseball and one of the better clips in all of minor league baseball. So that offense is performing well. The offense is sputtering up at the big league level. Yet there's going to be some change at points. And we're already seeing, a couple of changes here. I mean, with Sawinski, with Davis being optioned, with Bay and Gonzalez being added to the fold, guys are going to get their shot if they're hitting. And I really do think it's just a matter of time.
I think the hitting has taken off, though, to be quite honest with you, Jack, since Skeens has come on the fold. To be honest to God. Yeah. I watch him. I'm almost embarrassed to say this. I watch him faithfully, and I just see a different ball club. Now, why? I know Sheen just said about, trotting Talese out there. I don't get that. That makes no sense to me. I don't care if you paid him $3.2 million. Some teams, water boys make that, they need to cut bait with the guy if he's not going to produce, and they keep making excuses. Give Jake Lamb a shot. Now, I know Jake Lamb is characteristically not a very good Major League Baseball player, but maybe he finds some lightning in a bottle when he comes up. I don't know. You've got to do something, for them from that perspective.
Yeah, I think it's about trying the hot hand, and, it's a long season. They do it every day for 6 months. And Rowdy has kind of established precedent in terms of success. He had a 35 homer, what was it, 21 or 22 for 3.2. Obviously you give him runway to try and figure it out, but you're right. It seems pretty clear just to the objective lens that you might be running out of runway for that and a change may come. And I think they have that clear cut answer. Guys hitting 346 at the AAA level in Lamb. So I think it makes a ton of sense, and we'll see what happens. But that's a decision for Mr. Charrington and company.
Is the pitching that much different at the AAA level than it is at the Major League level?
It is. I did this dive yesterday. League average ERA in Major League Baseball right now sits at 3.96. Average ERA in the International League is at 4.95. So it's a run worse in the International League than it is in Major League Baseball. And then you go to OPS. First time since I want to say 86 or something, that Major League average OPS is under 700. I think it's 699 right now. Average OPS in the International League is 771. So hitters are hitting better down here because they're seeing the inferior pitching. I really do think this is as stark a contrast between AAA and the big leagues as we've seen in at least a half decade.
So when Davis comes up, though, if they decide to bring him back, because they brought up what's his name, Cook or Koch or
Cook, Cook.
So, Cook, who was not really doing particularly well in Indy. They're just trying to give Davis more at bats. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they want him to establish a rhythm. And frankly, I understand it. And Cook, is an okay guy to pull because he was Skeens' personal catcher down here. Nobody else was catching Paul Skeens starts. I think Rondell caught one on rehab, but I wouldn't be shocked
to see. Catch that?
What?
102 mile an hour. Who wants to catch
No one wants to catch it. I was like, how's your thum, man? And he was like, I wear a thumb guard.
Back here.
I know. I was just like, are you good? Do you wear an extra batting glove under the glove? How are we doing this? And he was like, I wear a thumb guard. We're fine.
He's got that steel plate. Yep.
Yeah, he's got that steel plate. But, he also, he said, it's fun to catch because he doesn't miss spots either. He's not going to spike 102. He knows where 102 is going, which is what makes him Paul Skeens. Trust me, there are a lot of guys down here that can flirt with 100 miles an hour. There are not a lot of guys that can locate 100 miles an hour. And the thing that separates Skeens from the rest Skeens from generic bullpen arm that's nowhere close to a top 100 list and a top 5 prospect in all of baseball, is that guy knows exactly where 101 is going in the first inning and where 101 is going in the 7th. And Cook said that, that kind of makes his life easy. But yes, he does wear a thumb guard to deal with Skeens. But I think it's about getting Henry like everyday run. And, he would go up, he would, be in a timeshare with Grandal, Bart, whoever was healthy at the time. It's Grandal now. So why take everyday at bats away from him when the whole purpose of him being here is to establish an everyday rhythm? So it makes sense. Like, why screw up that guy's rebound process because of what's happening up there? And I do think it makes sense in May. Now, if it happened in August or September and they're, 4 games out, I think we're having a different conversation, but it's happening in mid to late May. Who
coaches the hitters down there?
So Eric Munson is the hitting coach here, and Eric has been with them. I've been here 3 years. I think 22 is his first year, so he's been here same time as me. This is year 3 for him.
What's his level of success? Like what's his, in terms of batting average as a team, in terms of OPS?
Yeah, I mean they do really good stuff. What were you saying?
Is he related to Thurman?
No, not related to Thurman. Great question. But no, I mean, like, I do think that, he's got it right. And he was a very talented hitter in his own right. He was a former top 5 overall pick, I want to say in, 90 something. So he could really swing it in his day. And he has great communication with these guys. And I mean, I think Nick Gonzalez is the perfect example. You look at the side-by-side of what he was doing last year and what he was doing this year. He's way more upright. He's way more athletic. It's a total feel thing. And it feels like, he's really helping these guys get right.
Would he serve the Pirates well?
Yeah, that's the tough one for sure. I am not sure how they're going to go about that. I've seen all the criticism of what's happening at the big league level. Unfortunately, like, I just don't know the intricacies well enough to, kind of offer, perfect thoughts on
It's interesting because you said you did a deep dive the other night on something and I looked in depth on Haynes and we'll just leave it at that because he had a team hitting 270 or something like that, Milwaukee, and they dismissed them because they had hitters and they were only hitting 270.
Yeah, weird thing about those jobs is like there's constant turnover and guys get 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th chances. Like there are guys that are major league hitting coaches for, 20, 25 years and they, it's opportunity. And, like at the end of the day, we don't really know what the relationship looks like between Andy and players. But yeah, I mean, like the results, I know they've been certainly finicky over the last few seasons.
How has Jack looked?
Only 1 game. It was good. Triple at 108 to right center in his first AB. So it was really solid. I saw on Twitter, a couple of people were talking about, the changes he's already made. It's 1 game. Stance. Yeah. But like it is 1 game. So, want to see it over 5 to 10. And I'm sure that's what the Pirates want to see too. It's not the thing about, guys getting optioned and then trying to regain a groove is it doesn't happen over 6 games. Like it's got to happen over a month. So when you see guys kind of shuttled back and forth between the big leagues and AAA, nobody figures something out in 3 games in the minor leagues. They could start to get a feel back in 3 games, but in order for them to really feel comfortable with what they're doing and that new feel, that regained feel, it takes a couple weeks, man. So it was a good start. And, obviously there were some visual changes there, but, hoping to see it over the next week, 2, 3.
I was going to say, I saw automatically, all the Yinzers are like downplaying. He had that triple and they're like, oh, Major League Baseball outfielder would have gloved that ball. He's facing terrible pitching. There was no, hey, it's good to see him hit the ball. Yeah, like he did. Nothing. It was just a typical Pittsburgher responding the way I would expect a Yinzer to respond.
Yeah, I don't think it's unique to Pittsburgh. I think it's everybody. They're just looking for negative cop-outs, right? Everybody looks for an excuse instead of saying, oh, that was nice. Like nobody's okay saying, oh, that was nice to anything anymore, like in any region.
Well, we'll just wait and see on him. And we'll wait and see we'll wait and see on Henry. I'm pulling for both those guys. I like Jack Sawinski. He seems just like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah,
he strikes out and strikes out and strikes out. He never shows emotion because he's probably not supposed to, and he just goes back and he keeps on working.
Yeah, man. Those guys are really impressive, and the idea of professional baseball, I've had some really interesting conversations with players about it. And, I go back to a conversation with Mike Massey, who is second baseman for the Royals. And, I was talking to him when he was in college, and he was like, the thing that unlocked a new level for me was I know that I got to feel the same and have the same conversations with my girlfriend, with my family, with my friends, if I go 0 for 4 with 3 Ks or 4 for 4 with 2 homers. Like, that's what baseball is. And you do it every day for 6 months. You got to feel the same thing. And if you feel the same thing, if you develop those patterns, you're going to be successful more times than not.
Yep, I agree.
So you talked about good. I was just asking real quick. We talked pitching. We talked about the players been up and down, Davis, Bay, Swinsky, Gonzalez, all those guys. Are there any guys that we should keep our eye on, ear out for, position-wise, we're not aware of, who we should maybe see in the near future?
Matt Gorski, if you don't know about him, second-round pick, I want to say 19 out of Indiana. He is power and speed. There's some whiff there, but he's on a heater of all heaters right now. I was looking at the best performers in minor league baseball over the last 2 weeks. And, by pretty much anything you look at, he's top 10 in minor league baseball across any level. And this guy, I think it's 7 homers in his last 9. He's got 8 in his last 12. It's ridiculous. Like something that he did that, like, it was very hard for me to wrap my brain around. Position player came into pitch last homestand, and he threw like kind of a clunker 56 miles an hour on the way in. Like, it's really hard to hit a ball hard when it comes in at 56. Came in at 56, came out at 113, went 478 feet. There are very few people on the planet that can do that to a baseball when it comes in that slowly. And he has a longer swing, which again results in that whiff, but also results in those mammoth numbers. He can play a very good center field. He can play a very good corner outfield. And he's been playing a decent bit of first base too. I think he's got 10 starts at first so far this year. So it's something to watch.
Okay. So I don't know if you have the answer to this, but humor us. Why the hell won't the Pirates pull someone up like that? Just give him a month. He's hitting 7 homers in 9 games. Yeah. Let him finish out the month and then bring him up. Just see what he can do. Why don't they do that?
So he's not on the 40-man, which creates, a tough situation. Grant Cook was just out of the 40-man. I guess Jason DeLay's on the 60, so there was no need to DFA somebody. But, I'm thinking about the corresponding move for Skeens. Everybody got amped. Skeens came up. The corresponding move was Roansy Contreras is in Anaheim now. And, Rowe, I know he was struggling. I know he was a bullpen arm, but that's a former, top 60 prospect in all of baseball. And you're still holding out hope. You still see flashes of a guy that is still 24 years old. They're in a tight situation when it comes to the 40. So that is kind of the reasoning, I guess, that I can, really palate and understand. He's also a streaky player, Gorski is. And, you want to see, hey, what does the dip look like after the peak? And, I think they want to see that, because if the dip gets really low, you're, signing up for something that you rather have happening in Indy than in Pittsburgh. But, there are some organizations that can ride the hot hand like that because, they kind of have sitting ducks on the 40 and they're okay kind of moving on to what could be greener pastures. I think the Pirates are actually in a good spot with the exception of, maybe a couple here, but those couple are making big money.
Yeah.
I can make the 40-man roster move for you if you really want me to, Jack.
I think
it's a pretty easy one, especially when you told me he's played 10 games at first base.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We're seeing the dips, but we don't see the do's. And it's okay, just experiment here. Try someone. So.
How's Leover doing?
Yeah, Peggy's been all right. He started really hot. He was hitting about 330. Then he dipped a bit. He was striking out a bit more than really he ever did in the lower levels, which was interesting. But he's been a run producer, and he's been playing a pretty solid shortstop too. I think he was thrusted into a situation. Like, you got to remember, Peguero's really young still. I think he's 23, 24 years old. Like, when Cruz was out for the year, it made a ton of sense to get him ample run at short because he was the best option internally. Now that Cruz is healthy and you don't have everyday reps for him up there, it's really important, for him to get everyday reps at the AAA level. And I think he's making the most of it. And at the end of the day, like, hot and cold always normalizes to who you are over the course of a season. And, he's hitting about 280 right now. And, he's got a couple of homers, handful of doubles, and he's driving in runs. I think that's who he is. And, high efficiency base stealer, not going to be like high volume, but I bet he finishes with 15 or so bags, and he's only caught 2 or 3 times.
He'll catch on because I saw him play in Altoona, and I saw him play for Altoona in Harrisburg, and he knocked three that night. I think he hit 3 out of the park that night.
Wow.
They couldn't contain him.
Wow.
Shane, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was wondering what's the latest on my man Domingo, and can he recapture that magic he had in the Bronx?
Yeah, so Domingo has made 2 starts. He was building up. It was a visa issue. It was a work visa issue because he signed in mid-March. And, that's something that you really don't think about for the most part, because signings of, Dominican guys will happen in January or December, and they've got time to get all the work visa stuff taken care of. But he was just delayed. He pretty much didn't get to Bradenton until, the tail end to spring training, like the back third of spring training. So he was building up in Bradenton. He made a start in Bradenton, and he's made 2 starts here at this point. He's still spinning the bender. He's, like 82, 83 with a curveball, which is where it was when he was perfect last year in Oakland. And, he's been about 92, 93 with that fastball. I think it's a matter of him getting, back acclimated to major league caliber or under major league caliber hitting and, go from there. But I do think he's still kind of in the later stages of his buildup process.
Do you think, if he gets himself to where he needs to be, let's say July, let's say mid-July.
Yeah.
Do you think we could see him in the majors, either at a middle relief role or like a setup guy, or do you think they thrust him into a starting? I mean, are they let me ask you this. Are they stretching him out in Indy?
Yeah, he's throwing like 80 pitches.
Okay.
So he's being stretched out as a starting pitcher. The question then becomes big league need. Because if you've got, your 4 guys up there, like, hey, say Priester's really humming and Martin Perez is only on the shelf for a little bit and Falter's throwing the way he is, that's 6. So, like, you're already out of space. Now, the bullpen, I know, has been finicky over the last few weeks. And, if you're looking for a multiple inning guy to, throw in a tight deficit, you starter only goes 4. You need somebody to bridge you 2 or 3. He could be that guy, and they signed him to a minor league free agent deal, so it's not like financially they're going to thrust him up if it's not necessary. But yeah, I think he can absolutely be that guy, and he could be Swiss Army knife type.
Hey, check me on this. They signed him to 2 years, though, right? Did they sign him with a 2-year deal?
That's a great question. I didn't see the contract specifics. I just know it was a minor league deal, maybe a split deal, so he earns more in the big leagues. I think that'd be how it works.
Man, I'd love to see him pan out. He was golden in the Bronx. He really was.
He was perfect in Oakland. What was it? Tuesday night, game ended after midnight Eastern. Like, crazy.
Yeah. Hey, Jared Troilo's up with the Pirates. He's another guy that I think could use some swings down in Indy. He's struggling at the plate. Maybe that's a flop with Peguero. Peguero can maintain some kind of consistency.
Yeah, well, he can really pick it, Triolo, and he can play, a couple of different spots. He was getting a lot of run at second early, but now, that seems to be Nick's job every day, and understandably so. He's the hot bat right now. Hayes coming off the shelf may create that situation. I'm not sure how they want to handle that, but yeah, I mean, like there are a couple of guys, right? Like Jared Triolo, Alika Williams up there. they are the depth. They are the infield depth at this point. And you got guys like Leo Piguero, Jake Lamb down here that, it almost feels interchangeable at this point. I think it's really dependent on if the Pirates deem additional reps, everyday reps, necessary for a guy like that. I
think part of my issue with the coaching, the management, whatever you want to say, is the fact that they'll have a guy who's hot like a Connor Joe. He'll be hot. And next thing you know, they're sitting him on a bench for the other guy at first base. And you talk about getting reps for these guys. Hey, these guys are role players. They're bench players. You don't need to trot them out once or twice a week. That just, in my opinion, let me put it this way. If I was coaching that team, those guys would get their at-bats, get their playing time, but they wouldn't be getting like they do in Pittsburgh. So I don't know. I guess we'll see down the road. You're right. It's a long season. We're only 50 some games into it, low 50s. Yeah, I think we're about a third of the way through here. And you play how many? We play 150. I think we just hit the 50 game marker. Oh, that's pretty big. Hey, here's a question for you. This comes from Michael Gott. He's from Europe. And he says, apologies if I'm off the mark with this. I'm from Europe, and I know a lot of potential prospects are from the U.S., South America, and Asian countries, we'll say. Do scouts look at Europe? That's a good question. Max Kepler's from Germany. That's kind of it off the dome that I'm thinking of. What the top pitcher in this draft class, Chase Burns, who's at Wake Forest, is Italian born, but grew up in Tennessee. So he's just a college arm. I think he was military family. That's why he was born in Italy. But I mean, I think so. I think they look over there. I think the World Baseball Classic is really helping on that front. But, the hotbeds are the hotbeds for a reason. I'm just not sure that there is, an amazing market for, professional caliber talent in Europe. But I've seen a bunch of guys. This kid, Aldegari, in the Phillies organization is from Italy, and he's been throwing the crap out of the ball. So I think it's going to take more precedent, right? Like it's going to take a couple of, road pavers for, organizations to say, hey, maybe we should plant some roots in Italy. Maybe we should plant some roots in Germany, that kind of thing. Interestingly, the NBA, the NFL, they all, even the NHL, we know soccer, they all have such a strong base in Europe, but Major League Baseball's base is mostly in the Asian and South American Latino countries. Yeah, it's getting better. I think the London series is going to really help with that. And there was a really good showing in London. And there was a good showing in London for Yankees Red Sox in 19. And I don't remember who's going over to London this year, but 2 more teams are going over to London. I think that is a really good showcase. A lot like the NFL is doing, running Jacksonville out there like 6 times a year, it feels like, or, however many they're doing it. But Mets and Phillies. I think those games in London are important, and Mets Phillies is going to be great. I'll tell you what, the way Bryce Harper's playing this year, putting him over there is really going to draw people to see him play. 100%. He's just been tremendous. Hey, I got one final question for you. What's been the most thrilling game you've ever called, or the most thrilling thing you've ever seen in your young career? Because it is a young career. Young for sure. Was it? Let me ask you that. Was it Skeens or Vanessa Hutchins milling around town? Vanessa, I think, kept kind of to herself when Cole Tucker was here, and Cole and I only crossed over in Indy for like 2-3 weeks or something before he headed over to the Rockies organization. So didn't get to meet Vanessa when she was in town, but no, Skeens was really exciting. I will say that. If you guys remember, you're pretty young. You probably had your high school musical soundtrack ready to be autographed, right? So my girlfriend's a big High School Musical person. I was not a big High School Musical person. So she needed to let anybody know. She needed to fill me in on the importance, like societal importance of High School Musical. And I was like, oh, wow, this was really like a landmark moment in, my generation's history, I guess. But no, Skeens was electric. Are you guys college football fans? Yes. Oh yeah. You remember that crazy play in Maction where you had like 10 to 15 laterals from Western Michigan, and the play was blown dead at about the 20-yard line, and then
the teams and the band came on the field in like 2021, and Western Michigan ran it in, and they thought they had just won the MAC West, but it was null and void, and Ball State had won the MAC West.
Yeah.
I called that game on radio.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was probably my moment where I was just like, my favorite part, like my favorite humble brag is I knew it was an illegal forward pass when it happened. And I saw the flag fly and I was like, that's an illegal forward pass. It was 2 yards forward. And then like you keep going. And, you know, I didn't sell it as well as my boss who was doing it on the TV side did. You know, he totally sold it. And he was like, this is like the annexation of Puerto Rico, that, you know, trick play. But I just kind of like, I knew it was happening. I was very happy that I knew it was happening, but that was probably the highlight of my broadcast career to this point. That's a pretty neat highlight. Yeah. Right. Hey, I want to thank you so much for making that connection with us, giving us the lowdown on what's going on in Indy. Best of luck with your young career. I know I keep saying that, but man, you've got a bright future ahead of you. And you know, please don't hesitate to email me when things are happening down there so I can kind of slide them out, give me a nugget or two. Get our boy Henry Davis right, get our boy Sawinski right. Let's get him back, and maybe we get the Gorski kid up there to hit a little bit. You know, Gorski. Maybe we can send Roddy down there, get fixed. I don't know. Why not, man? Appreciate you guys. If anyone needs to do a little soft toss, I used to, do soft toss for the kids. Gotcha. Understood. Thanks, Jack. Great having you on the show. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jack. Peace out. Good stuff. Yes. Gorski. Really good stuff. He's on the board. I saw Matt Gorski playing at Altoona last year. 7 homers in 9 games? What the hell is that? That's a fucking shit ton of homers. Well, he told you, though, that the pitching isn't as great down there, which do you really care at this point? Like, I just need somebody to come up and give it a chance. We're watching Roddy Talese. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's batting like 197, 176, something. He's 165. Yes. It's worth rolling someone else out there. Absolutely. At 3.2 million, I'd have no problem cutting. See, they're looking at it as, we're not spending that much money. It's 3.2 million. I'm looking at it as it's only 3.2 million. Get rid of his ass and get someone in here who can play that spot. I'm looking at it as you're going to end up in last place anyway if you keep doing the dumb shit you're doing. Try something different, right? Yeah, 100%. Hey, you got a quizzle for us today, Sizzle? I got the quizzle. Sizzle's quizzle. How many MLB teams are there? There are 28. Yep, that's right. 30. Hey, check it out. Junior chimed in. He said he'd rather see Davis play first and DFA Talese. Junior, I don't know where you caught in on the show, but he told us that Davis has taken 0 reps at first base since he's gone down to Indy. He's playing DH and he's catching the bulk of the games. And the only reason they brought Cook up is because he is kind of like the personal catcher for Skeens. So good comment. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I feel the same way. I asked him that question. So there are 30 MLB teams. How many minor league teams are there? Woo. 101. They cut 40. They cut 40 of them 3 years ago. So I'm going to say 100. No, there's at least 120. 120, yeah. Yep. Can you name all 4 Pirate or Pittsburgh affiliate teams? Yeah. Altoona. Yeah. We just had the other one. Just talk Indianapolis. Yeah. Indianapolis. Yeah. 2 more. Greensboro. Yep. The Marauders. Yes. Yep. Bradenton. Yeah. All right. Yep. Good job, Sizzle. That was 3 quizzles. Dream, you have a question for us today? Nope. I only have questions when all 4 are here. 3 don't work. Yeah. kind of missing Big Chops. He's probably still driving home. He's trying to get in before sundown. He's sundown. He's swinging that gallon of water. Hey, he had a big picture up the other day of himself, and he had his beard. He said, "Should I or shouldn't I?" Like 50 people commented whether he should or shouldn't shave his beard. I'm like, come on, Chops. Shave that shit. It's hot out. Hey, tell them where they can find you, Dream. Everywhere.
You can find him on Instagram. You can find him on Facebook. What's your Snap?
Everywhere. I don't have a Snap.
No Snap.
I'm everywhere, I guess.
How about your TikTok? What's your TikTok?
Rashene Hill.
Oh, very
Easy,
nice.
Baby. I'm my heart.
Yeah.
Because he's a dream weaver.
Hey, Sis, where can we find you?
Wherever Sheen ain't. I'm on X. I'm on Instagram. And I think I'm on Facebook now. I don't know how the hell that happened.
You are, baby. You're on.
1T Youngie.
Nice. Hey, I'm gonna speak up for the Real Big Chops. You can find Michael Chops Mills at the Real Big Chops on the gram, as he says, and what do you say on X? He is goes by his government name, Michael Gregory Chops, I think it is, or Michael Gregory Mills, and he's on Facebook too. Connect with us here on the Original Sports Podcast by checking out our webpage, podpage.com, Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat at OSP with MM. You can find us on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Original Sports Podcast. Shout out to our networks. Let's Talk Sports, Sideline, ESEN, that's Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as Listen Frederick and Manning Media. You can catch our show tonight. You can catch our show tonight at 9 on Roku from 9 to 10. Our Memorial Day show will be airing tonight from 9 to 10 on the ESEN network. Hey, email us if you got any questions, comments, concerns. Tonight, Mike, thanks for joining us. Got any comments, questions, anything you want to shout out at us at Original Sports Podcast?
Like, whose baby picture is that in the back, Sheen? That shout out. Give us a shout out.
Where?
You don't know who that is?
I know who it is.
Okay.
People been asking, who's Sheen's baby picture? He's a cute baby.
That is
the
late, great Christopher Wallace.
Oh, my God.
Biggie Smalls.
Yes, sir. Hey, shout out to Medley for doing our voice intro. Shout out to Charlie Hodgson for writing our music.
Chucky.
Hey, listen, we aren't going to be back till next Tuesday, you guys. Next Tuesday, we've got Smitty from around the 412 coming on. We're going to talk all Steelers. He gets inside that locker room. He's going to throw us a ton of nuggets. Maybe not just about the Steelers either, because he gets around. That's why he's around. Experience EO with us every week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
I say he's like your ex-girlfriends.
This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.